Dave Pulliam?
Well, Dave is not in the room right now, so if we could, there may have something to come up here, so we'll need to find out. But maybe we could skip Dave right now and
Why don't we
move on.
Why don't we just move on and give it tomorrow then?
Well, he may be back. I mean, there are some things going on in his life that he has to get called away on short notice. So we do have there is a pressing matter of some litigation that happened just here last week, and Mr. Johnson is a member of the Wild Horse and Burro committee, the national committee, and he's got up-to-date information which he was going to tag team with Dave. If you want to hear that part of it now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and hear that then, and then we'll move on if he's not here.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Larry Johnson, President, Coalition Nevada's Wildlife. I also serve as the wildlife representative to the National Wild Horse and Burro Advisory Board, the BLM. I'm not speaking on their behalf. I'm representing the coalition. Week ago, suit was filed in federal court in D.C., and then later a request for an injunction to stop a gather, a very large gather, largest one that's occurred in Nevada in a few years, in the Calico complex in northern Washoe and Humboldt County. The Calico complex has an appropriate management level. Low end is 500 something animals. The high end of AML is 900 and something animals. Direct count of animals is over 3,000. That's a direct count. That's not how many they didn't see from the aircraft. So BLM issued a draft environmental assessment asking for the removal of approximately 2,800 animals. This draft EA has not been issued as a final decision, and the final EA will not be issued until, my understanding, early next week. But a horse rights group in defense of animals has filed suit to stop the gather. It's mostly been done on the basis of that the use of helicopters for rounding up horses is inhumane. I know this is not on your agenda and probably can't be an action item, but just as a request to individuals on the commission who have good relationships with the governor, the request is to ask the state of Nevada to intervene on behalf of BLM. The timing is short. BLM has until a week from Friday the 11th to file their final briefs on the matter. The plaintiffs have, I think, about until like the 14th to file their reply briefs. The actual hearing in D.C. will be on December 16th. And I don't know whether to state this or not, but I will. Coalition for Nevada's Wildlife is intervening in the case on behalf of BLM in support of the gather. We have a wide base support that will be included in our brief, including Nevada Cattlemen's, Nevada Wool Growers, Nevada Farm Bureau, Friends of Nevada Wilderness, various wildlife groups, etc. It would be extremely useful to have the governor's office make the recommendation to the Attorney General to have an amicus brief filed as well. Okay. That's it where I'm at. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Burro?
Yes, Larry, could you make sure we get a copy of the action that you folks have filed in support of the BLM?
It will be filed next week. Okay. I will forward it directly to the chairman. And I will give you a copy also of the plaintiff's filings as well. The final EA, again, is not out yet. It'll probably be Monday, Tuesday. I'll put together for you a complete package. Okay.
So, Larry, when is the deadline for filing for intervenor status?
I don't know. I can give counsel names and numbers of the legal team in D.C. with the Department of Justice for those discussions. They made the recommendation to us to have our brief filed as soon as possible, which to us is going to be early part of the week. We're actually going to have our brief filed before Department of Justice has theirs. Good.
Could you also describe the Calico complex that's the subject of this?
Yeah, the Calico complex, again, there are 5 horse management areas. It essentially takes in the area of the Black Rock High Rock Conservation, National Conservation Area. So all the Black Rock areas, the Calico Mountains, north end of the north end of the Granites, all of that country.
Does not include the Sheldon or anything.
It does not. No.
That's already stopped.
And in fact, the horses on the Sheldon on a national refuge are not covered by the 1971 Wild Horse Act and are not under the jurisdiction of BLM.
I guess my point was that gather has also been stopped by BLM.
The gather was stopped a couple of years ago until the comprehensive conservation management plan was finalized. There is a draft of that out now for review and public comment. U.S. Fish and Wildlife staff wanted to go ahead with the gathers. I think upper management overruled them and reached under threat of lawsuit from horse rights groups in Oregon. They reached a temporary agreement that they would only remove animals from the Sheldon equal to the number of annual foals recruited in excess of the existing population on the Sheldon National Antelope Range. There very well may be more wild horses than there are antelope at this time. Incredible problems. I can't describe to you the range damage that is occurring when we have wild horse populations that are 500% over appropriate management levels. And we wonder why we have no deer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a question, I guess, for the director on this. Oh, sorry. You know, NDOW does on its surveys, observes and marks down all the wild horses. And I went on a couple surveys this year, and like in one area went on, there was approximately 350 wild horses observed, 215 deer. And, you know, 2 mountain lions, 12 coyotes, anyways, it goes on. But in this situation, you know, NDOW's got to have some pretty good data on this. And I have not necessarily seen that, but that might be useful data for this discussion.
Well, as a routine thing, is we share those numbers with the BLM. I'll give you an example. In the Winnemucca district office, okay, there was this ongoing debate between our folks and the BLM about how many over AML there were. Okay, new horse person comes in for the BLM, calls our person, says, "Hey, I got the helicopter. Would you go fly with me? Kind of show me the area. We think there's about 400 head." And he said, "Well, yeah, I'd love to go. I'll bet you there's over 1,000." I think they counted 1,300 or something. The AML's 250. So we provide that information to them on a routine basis. Larry, you probably know the specifics and what actually happens with when they get those data.
Yeah, it is. The data is received and appreciated, although their bureaucratic procedures they go by their numbers, okay? And the unfortunate part of that is until their new handbook came out this summer, Their census is based on direct count, on how many animals they count, not how many with no correction factor due to terrain, due to tree cover, due to anything else. And so guess what? We get out there on gathers and the contractor goes, there's a lot more horses out here than we were told every time. Okay, that has been corrected. And in fact, they have a new training specialist to train their horse specialist on how to count horses and put that into the computer model and on and on and on. When in doubt, add more federal employees.
Think about,
but their data is imperative. One of the most important appendices to our brief will be a position paper put together by the Habitat Bureau, specifically Dave Pulliam and Clint Garrett, on the High Rock issue, where we were trying to justify the construction of guzzlers for bighorn sheep, and it's in a wilderness area, so it's controversial. They have documented for a decade the tremendous overuse by wild horses and the tremendous damage to water resources, et cetera, and that it is, again, an extremely important document in our brief.
In the absence of livestock grazing.
Yes, with no livestock grazing.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda.